I'm calling from Los Angeles, and I'm having a little problem under the name ThatUmbrellaGuy. I sent him my phone number at least 20 times in the chat and told him to call me. He ignored me. I'm a man. I filed the report. If you guys could take a look at it and give me a call back, I would love to hear what you guys can do to help us. We really need to kind of stop this guy at least until Monday. I told him to call me. I'm a man.
Rolling up, I'm feeling fly, yeah, I'm so damn fresh. Got that platinum grill, bringing in the chest. Diamonds in my mouth, shining when I speak. That umbrella guy, flossing, speaking geek. Ice on my teeth, I'm dripping so hard. Platinum grills, I'm the king of the boulevard. Throwing money in the club, making haters mad. I'm the baddest in the game, no one gets a pass. Ooh yeah. Crushing all these lines, yeah, I feel fly. Rolling on the dubs, that umbrella guy. Iced out flow on the boulevard. You ain't a comic gangster, don't be playing hard. Ice on my teeth, I'm flying so high. Dropping the bass, that umbrella guy. One drill to rule them all, one drill to bind them. Baby, I'm so iced out, gonna blind them. Rolling in town, I'm an army of one. Doing verbal walk-bys, blazing like the sun. Riding in my whip, crushing false accusers. Dropping off the bass on the real abusers. Yeah. Living life fast, no time for the slow. Justice on my mind, stacking up on that flow. Life in the fast lane, no time to blink. Ice on my teeth, watch it when I speak. Chillin' on my rhymes, never missing a beat. Ice on my teeth, yeah, I'm living that sweet. That umbrella.
All right, what's up, folks? How's it going today? Man, this has been an insane weekend. I mean, whoa. I was pretty shocked by seeing some of the headlines that were coming out. You know, we actually have MrBeast follow-up, too. And then we got the craziest, the craziest freaking amount of, we got 500,000 messages that ended up being archived and leaked. Now, out of those, something has come up, something really, really bad for MrBeast. And that's the fact that MrBeast was actually in some of those messages. And people kept asking, including myself, hey, is that the real MrBeast? You know, is that him? Yeah, it's been verified that's him. So there's somebody out there talking about the D size of Chris Tyson, which we'll talk about this whole mess in just a second. But yeah, there's somebody talking about this in a room, or in a Discord full of minors. We're talking like the person that was running the thing at the time was 13. The other person talking about it at the time, they were 14. There were multiple other minors that were in charge there. And it wasn't just the tag along or the friend of MrBeast. It's been confirmed now that MrBeast, he was there too. Which you could, so let me pull up a couple of things. You could tell he was there. But, you know, there was the discussion of whether or not, whether he could be complicit in this. You know, how far does that go? Now, let me get a second. So you could actually see the discussion showcasing that he was part of the place. But now again, there are 500,000 freaking messages. So as far as going through stuff, it's a lot. If anybody is so inclined and wants to go through every single one of those, I mean, there's a lot of, I've gone through quite a few. And it's mind-numbingly tedious. You know, you can go through, actually open them up on, say, Word, search for specific words that occur, you know, like the weenus, stuff like that. And one of the other things, and I'm glad about this in a way, but at the same time, I think it takes away some of the shock factor. Some of the, you know, when you archive, when you do chat logs, you don't end up with pictures of how many people are, how many pictures are actually there and what type they are. You know, you see broken images. Sometimes the broken image may show one broken image for, you know, a slideshow of things, and it doesn't actually include them. Now, for me, I'm kind of glad for that, because I don't want to look through the kind of stuff that they were posting. You know, they had a NSFW, not safe for work, but they were spamming prawn. Yes, I'm not talking about the shrimp, by the way. We weren't spamming shrimp, but they were spamming prawn in there. You know, they were talking about gore and other things, which, again, if this were just an adult thing, that maybe, I mean, I wouldn't really care if these were all adults. You know, that might be embarrassing for them a little bit on something, but honestly, I don't care about edgelord bullshit. I don't really care about, you know, they mentioned like dropping N-bombs and everything else. If people want to boycott them because of that, that's your prerogative. But I don't care. I can't find myself. But plug a lot of cigar for this. Ugh. But when you get to the fact that there are minors involved, that's when you have a real problem. Now, again, you can see the discussion talking about in here Jimmy. That's, in retrospect, that's the worst name to have in this, you know? Jimmy is a nickname for the Pee-wee. So, I mean, you're talking about somebody, yeah, it's having inappropriate discussions with minors in Chris Tyson. Then you have Jimmy, who is, again, MrBeast. You know, they talk about him being in there. Now, the person, you can see some of the names, like Lava here, for example. That's a 13-year-old. This 13-year-old was asked to scrub this entire database, too. They were actually asked to go through and help scrub all of it. Well, here you can see, again, them talking about how Jimmy, he enters, and you can see him saying, oh, you know, he's just chilling to some electronic music. And Chris Tyson is like, no, you know, he's chilling with me. Then Lava, again, 13-year-old, is like, yo, can't believe the beast, he forgot to connect. He does that all the time. That's why I moved him to private. So, I mean, he's all the time in here. They're talking about, yeah, he forgets all the time to connect. Currently, he ends up in general voice chat. You know, so he's chilling in this Discord. Now, this is before this Discord that's being discussed, by the way, to make this clear. This Discord becomes the Discord that they showcase to backers, to investors, their big money names. Yeah, it becomes that. But before it becomes that, they laid that on a foundation that was pretty messed up. And again, the whole point in all of this is a discussion about kids. You know, we're not talking being edgy with like older teens either. I mean, this is fucking, these are, again, 13-year-olds. They even discuss as part of this. I'll show you some tweets some messages that came up where they actively know that this thing is full of minors. They're trying to scrub the prawn off of there because they know how bad this looks. And if anybody discovers it, it's bad. But like I said, it's taken on a whole new face now that we know that MrBeast was involved with it. MrBeast, why does that matter, by the way? Let me pull this up real quick, you know. Give me 1 second here. Why does that matter? Well, let's check this out. I want to introduce this just to make sure people understand, like, the problem here. Give me a second. For MrBeast, I mean, MrBeast is not a tiny channel by any stretch of the imagination. Biggest YouTuber, which when you say biggest YouTuber, well, what does that really mean, honestly? Well, it means that he has 307 million subscribers. Videos here, when you check them out. Videos. The last video, 200 million hits. Videos before that, again. You know, a bad outing is 100 million hits. That's a bad outing for this channel. It just keeps going. I mean, it's crazy. You got 180 million, 170, 117. I mean, you can see how this goes. I mean, we're talking about, this is the face of YouTube right now, but it's bigger than YouTube too. In fact, I think we will see a crime, because what they are doing, you know, sharing pornographic images with children, talking sex and stuff to minors, that is illegal. You cannot do that. But I think this will be shut up and nothing will happen. Too big to fail. You've heard that before. Well, I believe that MrBeast is too big to fail. MrBeast is connected to Amazon. MrBeast is connected to Netflix. Connected to Walmart. Zaxby's. And the list goes on and on. I mean, this is just things I can remember right off the top of my head. There's so much out there. All of these connections, you're talking about multi-billion-dollar corporations here. And they will definitely shield this guy. But I want people to understand who we're talking about before this. Now, as far as Chris Tyson, too, we've actually had some fascinating stuff come up. Like the fact that, you know, there was a lot of discussion after Chris Tyson decided to transition from CHRIS to KRIS. And family members have been talking about that, actually. So family members have come out and said, yo, the reason that's going on... Well, here you have a sibling come out and said, yeah, you know, I'm a sibling. He, and yes, I use the correct pronoun, told me that he got fully aroused when he secretly stole my female clothes and put them on. He's deluded, disturbed. It's 100% a fetish. Talking about, you know, all of this stuff. That's what's come up in the discussions over and over again. This isn't an identity thing that we're looking at. This is a fetish thing. And we look at all this other behavior, seems to work in with that too. You know, he's narcissistic. Professionals have told him, you know, he needs a full psych eval, which, you know, again, if that was just said in a vacuum, I wouldn't really give that much thought one way or the other. I might agree, but I wouldn't look at that by itself and be like, okay. But when you look at everything together, it's like, holy crap. I mean, essentially, you're having the image of a really messed up person here being given access to not just minors, but given access to almost unlimited amounts of money. You know, MrBeast is a channel. It was reported that last year, someone discussed $300 million. Like, that's an insane amount of money. And you think what kind of damage could be done with that? Give me 1 second. I got to mute. I hear a kid. Give me 1 minute. I heard a kid, you know, just sneaking down. Like, no, not with this topic. No, God, way. No way. Gross. Now, as far as the leaks are concerned that happened, give me 1 minute. So, we've talked about this account. This is account, like, there were two moderators that were in charge of almost everything here. But these two moderators, let me pull up this person. This person has done a few videos. Now, they did not actually, they aren't the ones that archived everything. It was another person that was along with them. I don't know the age of the person that archived everything, but they're the one that came out and actually confirmed. See, at first when all of this happens, you have discussion about, there's a Discord. You have Chris, who's in contact with minors. In this contact with minors, the entirety of what's going on, the situation, it starts getting discussed. But you have that first minor, when they come up in it, they're like, no, none of that happened. You know, in fact, some of the details that are coming out, they're totally wrong. Well, this person speaks up about it. And that also doesn't count the, that doesn't count all the other employees. Like, I was trying to think of how many. I think there's 3 employees so far that have spoken up. There's one I don't know. There's I don't know who they are. You know, they said they worked there for about a year. There's the Jake the Viking, who was prominent on the channel for a long time. And there was another person that I think was an employee as well, if I remember that. So I think there's 3 employees. And, you know, before this, it's fascinating too. So before all this happens, the biggest complaint about MrBeast is that he wants to take on the white savior role. You know, he's doing all this stuff, you know, altruism. No, he's not really being a good person. Really, it's about X, Y, or Z. You know, which is absurdity, like, honestly. Something to ignore in it, again, by itself. That was the biggest criticism that channel had before all of this. Then you have an employee, and this is fascinating too. YouTube is actively ghosting some of this. So MrBeast as a topic, you can't ghost MrBeast. It's too big of a topic. But if you go in, if you want to check this out, by the way, you confirm this on your own. You put a hashtag in front of something when you go to search it. And if it won't autofill, they're ghosting it. So MrBeast, of course, is there. Chris Tyson, the last time I checked, was still there. But if you go in with Ava Chris Tyson, no autofill. They're starting to ghost part of that, and they're starting to ghost negative videos about MrBeast as well, which is wild considering, you know. I mean, most people don't get that kind of protection, but MrBeast does, of course. By the way, Angel, thank you for 20 there. And if you're listening on, we love you. Indeed. Love to you. Appreciate you. For sure. I hope everybody realizes that. If you're here, you know, you are the channel. So thank you. Angel 2, thank you for the 10 gifted memberships. Thank you for that. Appreciate that. And Dare, thank you for the 5 gifted memberships. I wanted to add those in here while we're rolling. So if you look through, thank you all too. I don't, like, this is not a topic. Like I say, a lot of people will avoid this kind of topic because, yeah, it gets ghosted. So when you look through this stuff, though, you see them talking about how they were going to dump the servers that were scrubbed. You know, again, you had somebody go in and archive that because they knew, you know, down the road, if they do something was wrong here. You know, personally, like, if it's just me, like if I'm talking to an adult, like if it's me and you discussing things online, I don't like that people go in and just archive and try to burn each other. When you're talking about a bunch of minors that were in a Discord with somebody that will definitely deny, and not only deny, but when the word came out, they may actually try to sue them for bringing this stuff up. You know, MrBeast has, again, an ungodly amount of money. He has the ability to shut down any conversation he wants on this. Of course, you know, 100%. You'd have to worry about that. So they end up archiving that, which I think 100% should have been done. So yesterday, they discuss 500,000 messages. Now they had they put a video up with this too. I'm gonna pull up the stuff that comes up with it. Pull up some of what's come up so far with that. There's a lot, but they also put up a video. Let me lock in on this video. I'm gonna play their video here. They've actually put up 2 other ones. I covered them in a former live stream. Again, I'm going to give you a little background, but I don't want to rehash every freaking thing that happened. You know, so here is this newest video too. I'm gonna let it play. It's like 2 minutes long.
Ava Chris Tyson's Discord server leaks are getting dropped in a little less than an hour, but I have a couple screenshots that are going to be included in that I wanted to show you guys right now. Here we have Chris complaining about the hentai bot not sending gay hentai, and asking Lava if...
Hentai, by the way, if you don't know what that is, you know what anime is, right? I'm going to say primarily Japanese cartoons, but I mean, it can be non-US is probably the best way. That's the origin with that. Well, hentai, yeah, that's explicit. Very explicit. And oftentimes with hentai, you know, again, explicit, I don't care what you do explicitly, but they'll take like stuff and again use it as a bridge toward minors. That actually happens quite a bit. That's one of the ways that people can take, oh, so you're into anime? You're into, you know, whatever. I'm just going to throw something random. You're into Dragon Ball Z? Oh, well, and, you know, as they go along, they start introducing, discussions about explicit topics. Then they bring in these things. They show them, you know, explicit pictures. And again, at 13, you don't really know what people have been exposed to before. They're not supposed to be exposed to that anyway. I'm not making any, you know, I'm not saying even if they're exposed to the most awful shit ever, they should be shown that. But they may have been the first person to ever introduce them to something. And they use that again. You know, we've seen it in comic books. We've seen it in other entertainment. Like I was talking about in the last video or the last live stream that we had where we were discussing some of this. The biggest fantasy convention that ever existed. Like one of the owners there was a PDF file, let's say. That ended up being like a nightmare issue. You've also had many people, including like in the comic industry, you had the guy who Americanized Dragon Ball Z, not a creator, that's not what I'm saying, but the guy who decided to introduce it really to an American audience that helped push that, ended up in jail. And that person was a fucking monster, by the way. They were an absolute monster. They accidentally uploaded a video to YouTube. They were trying to upload a daily video and uploaded a video that in the police description, you know, they classify things. It's horrible reading police descriptions, but the thing that really stuck out to me in that was the description of children under the age of 1. You've had that happen. Jeepers Creepers director. Between Jeepers Creepers 2 and 3, the guy goes to prison because he's a PDF file too. I mean, it happens over and over again. And again, they use entertainment as access. They use the money that's available. You know, and if they're using this, like you think about it. Like MrBeast, for example. Chris Tyson. Chris Tyson had access to minors all over. We're talking malls full of people. And that's one of the really crazy things about this, too. If you go in and you look at the meet and greets that happen with MrBeast, you know, Chris Tyson's right there. You have armies of kids. And, oh, man, I mean, it's disturbing when you think about that as access. It's also disturbing. It's disturbing when you think parents never have learned. They've never learned. You know, I mean, if you want role models for your kids, you'll look up people that save children's lives and stuff. Don't look at the internet figures out here. I mean, by itself, most people, they're flawed human beings at best. You know, usually everyone's flawed. But at worst, there's a lot of monsters that want access. But anyway.
If he's the one who did it. Now keep in mind, this server was scrubbed clean before it went public, and this is the result of after the great cleansing, as Lava called it. So there's not going to be an insane amount of evidence against Chris in these logs as much as there should have been, due to the fact that the great cleansing, in Lava's words, happened. He also says here that he wants a free NSFW channel, whatever that means. A lot of people have been saying, I just don't know how to take a joke. Here's an example of something that I know was a joke.
That's been... Okay, you see, you don't know how to take a joke. Just put my, as in Chris Tyson's nudes in the non-safe for work.
But it's still wrong and not appropriate to be sending in a channel with minors in it. They say, just put my nudes in NSW. Obviously, it was a joke. They never did, to my knowledge.
To my knowledge. Well, we can't confirm that either. We can't confirm that, but with everything else that's there, I mean, there's discussions about his weenus size. Again, coming from what is confirmed as MrBeast's, as his account. We have discussions again about this place that all of them, and when this is happening, by the way, we're not talking about pre-MrBeast having a big channel. Now, it's not the channel like you see here, but what they do is they take this Discord, they build on top of it, and they build on top of it because they have something like 10 million subscribers, I believe it was. So, yeah. And the MrBeast channel size, that's not a big channel. But 10 million people. And I'll show you why that's, again, we'll return to that in just a second.
However, not a funny joke. Here we have Chris talking about how they finally locked down the NSFW channel to gods. However, I was a god and I was a minor at the time. So
14.
I'm not sure what the point of locking it down was if you're going to lock it down to a role that also has minors in it. Because Lava was in that role too. But then in the same message they say, or should I open it back up?
It sounds like they were, to be honest, like them locking it down to, you know, this is the main moderators, to quote-unquote gods. So they locked it down to their main moderators. But still, it sounds like that word that YouTube really hates these days. We'll change a letter. We'll call it brooming. Because, you know, they're doing that, plus they're trying to sweep it up. I think that's actually the perfect word for it. Brooming, you know. But yeah. I mean, they're making repeated contact with them. And, my God. I'm going to let this play for a second. I see a gigantic freaking spider crawling my wall.
I don't know where this confliction was coming from between leaving the NSFW channel open or closed. It's, even to me at the time, it was pretty obvious to me that it should at least have the 18 and up warning on it. But these are 500,000 messages, so if you can help us go through all of them, post any screenshots of anything problematic you find, or anything that just kind of rubs you the wrong way, because we have not gone through even a small percentage of it. We're just getting it out to you guys as fast as we can.
Sorry about that. I had a freaking brown recluse on my freaking wall. You get them in Tennessee. They're dangerous. You know, usually I don't care about a spider. I don't care about them pro or con, but that's a monster spider on the wall over there. Like, good Lord. Oh, anyway, sorry about that. Spiders in the jets, spiders in the discords for sure. Now, one of the like I said, one of the reasons this is such a problem isn't just the minors there. It's again the access. If you look at MrBeast content, just look at the thumbnails. You can tell who the target audience is of all of this stuff. I mean, look at it. You know, look at the way that it's presented. It reminds me of, you know, the little kid channels, because kids are the biggest demographic. You want to sell items to people. There's actually a really good video that talks about illegal lotteries. You know, give the giveaway, the idea. If you're part of this, then, you know, with them not allowing a no purchase necessary, there's none of that on there, you know. But in that, again, that is a different topic. But the biggest demographic that you aim something like that at are kids. Like I said, you can look at this and you can see, again, this isn't aimed at older adults. This is definitely aimed at a very young audience. And when you go into some of these too, they have huge YouTubers. In fact, a lot of YouTubers have chosen not to speak out about this. Or I hate the word influencer, but I'm going to say huge quote unquote influencers. I hate that word. I mean, that is what people are, but that still, it's so you know, you get independent journalists and everyone else mixed into that too. But there are a lot of giant channels out there that are very quick to condemn typically, but they don't want to condemn on this because there's the identity issue. You know, in fact, it's been so crazy to look at. Like if you call KRIS, I'll use KRIS, Chris, on YouTube because it's searchable. It's easier to search. But if you use CHRIS, or you use the pronoun descriptor that apparently is correct as a he, you know, it would be correct anyway. But people are so stuck on looking at that versus what's going on, and that intrigues me. You know, it's intriguing, number one, because it runs so much cover. Like, as an adult, I don't care what you do in your life, by the way. You want to go out and do whatever in your own private life. If you're using that as cover, as a shield, that's disgusting. And we've seen that happen more than once now. And in this instance, identity should not be used as a shield. You know, more people are freaking out about a missing H, or missing S, rather, in front of H. Instead of H-E, he, they're freaking out about one letter, S, S-H-E, she, versus the four letters they should be thinking about, P-D, P-E-D-O, you know. Those are the four letters you should be really concentrating on. Access to kids and that. So, there have been a lot of messages that ended up. Let me find the... So they actually have a Discord with a bunch of this that's placed in front of everyone. It's if you want to look this up, by the way, it's Chris, K-R-I-S, .github.io. If somebody could link that in the description. By the way, if you want to go through this, again, people are going to miss some of the stuff that's in there. There's so many, it's mind-numbing to go through. I don't know if you've ever gone through chat logs, but it's mind-numbing. It is. You sit there and you think, my God, I can't do this, you know? I can't look through people, like people trying to be fucking edgelords and stuff. It's so cringy. And again, I'm not looking for that. I don't care. They mention again, them dropping N-bombs. If people want to be mad about that, that's your prerogative. But I'm not looking at edgelord behavior. I'm looking at something else here. So you can see some of the, you know, that person noted with this. What if Cookie, that would be the person that ended up archiving everything. What if they had never downloaded the logs to Chris' server? And that's actually a good question, because if they wouldn't, what would have happened here is you would have had not only deniability, but again, Lava, the moderator that was 13 when contact started, Lava initially denied everything. There were discussions about, you know, we know that Lava was under an NDA. Now, an NDA, or a non-disclosure agreement, does not protect illegal activity. So you cannot say, you can't discuss what's going on behind the scenes because of that. Having said that, though, you'd have to prove that in a court of law. Okay. So MrBeast has a fortune behind him. He's not just, again, too big to fail. I think if anything, we've seen that again and again with banks, you know, with people and with specific people in Hollywood. We've seen it with companies, you know, that get bailouts. But people can get to that point. And I think without these logs, you would have gotten to that. In fact, actually, let me show you one other thing before we get into this. I want to show you, most people can't see this happening either. They don't realize the damage. Let me see. Give me 1 second here. If you look up the data on subscriber loss, most people can't tell that there's a problem going on right now. See, typically, if you see a channel bleeding subscribers, I'm not talking losing here and there. Like, I lose subscribers because I don't switch topics enough. I don't stay relevant on topics, so I go back and forth, you know. I'll talk about something until I'm tired of talking about it. And you lose subscribers over that, and that's okay. But you can tell that there's a real issue normally when you go in, you look at one of these sites that actually tracks numbers. Give me a second here. Okay, Social Blade. Social Blade was overwhelmed for a second, so that's where I'm trying to go. With MrBeast channel, though, you have a real problem. There's so many people looking up stuff right now. With MrBeast channel, this channel's still gaining subscribers while this goes on. Like I want you to think about this. It's still growing. Now, could that be bots? Potentially, yeah, but I don't think that's what it is. I think most people don't realize what's happening here. Give me 1 minute. So I'm going to lock in on this. All right, here's MrBeast on Social Blade. Now, you can't actually see, again, they have their rating, you know, of course, subscriber rating #1. And their subscribers, again, the ebb and flow, that's not really indicative of anything there. To see loss, though, or gain for this channel, it's so big that it tracks by millions. So in order to actually see this channel lose subscribers, they would have to lose 1 million subscribers. And most people, I've seen some bad, really bad controversies that have come up where people have done some horrible things. And the most subscribers I ever remember watching bleed off a channel were about 780,000. At the time, too, that channel didn't have the protection of any giant networks. Like, they didn't have platforms that were protecting their names. They didn't have the media. You know, the media, they've done articles over this, but they haven't gone hard at this. In fact, you know, when this first came up, Rolling Stone, actually, they tried to treat this like it was phobia. Oh, those phobic attacks. They're trying to cancel somebody. And again, if you look at the numbers per month, like, you're actually getting more gains. You know, people will go in, they're curious about it too, and they'll check it out, and that'll actually, that works as a negative because people will subscribe to see what happens next to this channel. And again, you don't see the offset. And this is the primary site that most people will utilize to track Social Blade. Like I said, you can see here where the channel, during all of this, while all this is happening, it's actually gained 2 million. And again, it may have gained, it gains more than that. It only clocks in once 1 million more subscribers are added to it. I mean, we're talking about somebody with unlimited money, algorithm preference. So it's crazy to see. Like I said, that goes to too big to be canceled. It'll cause them problems. But I bet you they don't lose contracts with Walmart. I bet you they don't lose contracts with some of the businesses out there. A normal person would actually take a hell of a hit, and they should. They should take a hell of a hit from this stuff. But MrBeast doesn't. Rhea Wright, thanks for 5. There's a convicted PDF file in the Olympics. He was convicted of raping a 12-year-old. Oh, gross. Dutch Steven Van. I'll have to look that up. That's crazy. Actually, talking about the Olympics really quick, I thought it was that opening that they've deleted now, and they've started striking people for showing. That's madness. And on top of that, you have a dude where his weenus actually is out in the Olympic opening. Oh yeah, that's pretty messed up. So I'm not surprised. I'm not surprised at all. Angel, thanks for 5. Tug, could you please tell Rebel what link you said to drop? Thank you. Here, I'll send that over. Actually, I'll drop the link myself. I can do that. Thank you, Rebel, too. I appreciate you. I'll put it in there. Here's the link. If people want to. Oh, it's not just a sponsorship. So some of these sponsorships, by the way, are crazy. I know I'm all over the place bringing some of this stuff up, but okay, check this out too. So with some of the sponsorship, I want you to really register this, okay? You have a discussion about fetish. All right, and during this discussion, you find out that Chris Tyson has a poop and fart fetish. All right, that's a theme you're going to see, over and over. All of this stuff is fetish. There's more and more of this coming up, right? Okay, well, one of the collector's cups I noticed, like looking up MrBeast merchandise for Chris. Let's see, Chris Tyson beans cup. So some of this stuff, I feel like they've been shoving this stuff in my face here for the longest time. I mean, for example, again, you're talking about a dude that has this freakish fetish, right? Well, 1 minute. I'm pulling up I want to show you a specific item that they had as part of this. So here's one of the collector cups that actually came up. I thought this added that to another level. So this is on eBay. So this is confirmed, by the way. This is real. So knowing a guy has a poop and fart fetish, I think when you see cups talking about, hey, y'all got any beans? I think that adds it at another level. I feel like somebody's been making fun of us the whole time and putting it right in front of our faces. Like it adds it to another level that's like, whoa, that's really messed up. It's also messed up, so I can't show this image on here because, first of all, I wouldn't be comfortable showing it anyway. There's a thumbnail. This is confirmed. This did happen. You can find the screenshots to confirm it on Twitter. I don't want to pull it up on here. It's the kind of stuff that will get you banned. Chris Tyson uploaded a video of his little kid pooping in the tub. And at the time, that was wrong to do anyway, because you're uploading a child in a tub. But when you add in the fact that there's this creepy fetish stuff that's added to it, it really makes you wonder about I don't say this lightly, by the way. I know a lot of people will say things like this, and they will, they'll say it at the drop of the hat sometimes. But I do wonder about the safety of the kid. I really do. Everything that's coming up with this, I very much wonder about the safety of this kid. Because a lot of this stuff is very disturbing. And again, you're talking about somebody, if you don't think money will protect someone either, I told you about the Fantasy Con. I'm pulling this back up. So that Fantasy Con I was discussing, it was opened by 3 people. I can't remember the name of it. It's the biggest fantasy con out there. There was a huge blow up about this, to the point they finally caused something because you had all these Hollywood celebs speaking out about it. But it took years for anything to happen. But this fantasy convention was opened by 3 people. One of them, like I said, was a PDF file that had been caught with 2 kids. They kept delaying and delaying the trial, delaying anything that would happen, and it delayed so long that the lawyers for this PDF file, they said that the conditions that had been added, like you can't travel from state to state, those they caused undue burden or undue hardship, and the court agreed. So they allowed this person to start going from state to state. Now, months later, after they decided that, this PDF file was arrested again with 2 more kids, 2 more minors, in a hotel room. And they ended up delaying because they had so much money to throw at this. By the time they went to trial, they ended up with home arrest. They didn't actually serve any time at all. I'll have to look up the name on it again. I cannot think of that person's name. But it was just a horrible... I mean, this was somebody that had been spotlighted by the media, had been spotlighted by celebs. I mean, you're talking about somebody that was exposed on a national or even a worldwide stage. And still nothing happened. So money does work, and that's my point here. Precisely, who knows how much money's there? And I also wonder this. So MrBeast ended up kicking Chris Tyson to the curb. I wonder if Chris Tyson owns any of MrBeast, as the company. Because Chris Tyson's been there from go. So, freaking cigar, man. If you hear me light that, it's a cigar, by the way. If you don't know, if you're not on the channel, man, some of this stuff gets me angry and worked up. So I'm like, calm, be calm. It makes me mad, though. It makes me mad because when this stuff happens, again, there are tens of thousands of people that make this about something it's not. Again, they defend. They go off on the pronoun argument, like I said. That's ridiculous. It's also about respect. That respect is not earned by this person. I don't respect PDF files. I do not respect them in any way, shape, or form, nor do I think we should. But anyway, so here again, I know that was a long bridge or segue into what would have happened if wouldn't have downloaded that. Do you think Lava would have retracted his statement or left it as is? And 100%. Lava ended up being confronted with this. Lava's a victim, by the way. So when I talk about this, I'm not pointing anything negative at that person. Looking back at that behavior, they may not see it as what it is. Because if somebody's an effective broomer, let's say, well, again, they're doing this with 13-year-olds, then, I mean, you think about that. That's just a norm to them. Plus, it was probably, I would imagine, the spin to that and everything. Oh, man, you were part of MrBeast. You were there, Weren't you important? Not only that, but these kids, they did all this work for Chris Tyson and MrBeast, and they didn't get any money for it. They were forced to sign NDAs. They did all of that. They were promised money, and they didn't get their money either for their work, which is jacked up. But you can see the some of the stuff that comes up with it. And we can't see, this is the problem with images. We can't actually see what happens with images. Like, they come up as broken. And like I said, I think that's good in a lot of ways, but I think if some of these images came up, I think we would be talking about cancellation just like that. Because if you have a prawn bot, it's just like when you're calling it not safe for work, it sounds a lot better than me saying, hey, they're spamming prawn to minors. You know, when you talk about the reality of it, it's much, much worse. And you can see the discussions of that with some of these here. You know, hey, what happened to the not safe for work channel? It was removed because there are minors in this server. And that content is highly inappropriate for minors. So they're very aware in these discussions that there are minors there. This is discussed. This is very inappropriate to have there. Minors have access to it. In fact, again, minors are the people that are responsible for the freaking Discord. They're in charge of it. So you see, oh yeah, people are saying, yeah, it's inappropriate for adults too. Have a discussion, but everyone needs some good prawn in their lives. But hentai is in SFL. Well, good thing I don't have a life. Not safe for life. That's what they're going. It's not safe for life. I don't know, because of lives. Let me. You have this one again. They tried to say that this was a joke. But there's actually a screenshot that says that they're talking back and forth, and apparently Chris posted pictures of himself in the shower because there's a discussion about that. So yeah, let me see if I can lock in on some of these. If not, I'll download them because some of these are really small. I think I might have to download a few of these just to show them to you, you know, so you can read them. Because some of them are so small. Give me 1 second. Let me see if I can blow them up. I took it off there so we could see if we can blow these up real fast. Yeah, actually we can. That's good. And you can see too, okay, as part of this, again, it'll be small, so I'm going to lock this back in as well. But you can see, again, the discussion of, it's coming up with people like Lava. You have the, here, did you set up the hentai bot? Or was it someone else? Lava. So you have Chris asking point blank to a 13-year-old minor, hey, did you set up that, that hentai bot? And we'll go back to that one. Like I said, I can barely read. That was small. I locked the Not Safe for Work channel yesterday for only gods. Again, they're talking about moderator types, whatever they call your moderator. You know, you have levels of moderators on Discord. I have a Discord because I have to communicate with a couple of people, but I don't want to Discord it, you know. And I found that Discord at best is terrible. And at worst, a lot of these people that have had them, man, my God, some of the stuff they've done there. But I locked that for gods. What do you guys think? Should I open it back up? And they're talking about elevating some other moderators too. So they're actually having the discussion, even though they know it's a problem. They lock it down because it has prawn. They're discussing that. It has hentai in it. Even though there's still, you have Chris here. Chris the meme god. That's Chris. And Chris controls access too. So they actually discuss, I thought this was fascinating. So some of the moderators that he's asking, you know, hey, can you bounce them up to this certain level? Well, they can't. I cannot. I would need a role over that level. So Chris himself is handling the appointments of the moderator roles. Now, why is that important? Well, because he knows that he's dealing with 13 to 14-year-olds. He's the one controlling access When they've shut this down, or they've quote unquote locked, giving access only to certain folks because they know it's a problem. He's the one that controls the access and who is being given access. So he's the one granting access to minors. DB Hutter, yeah, I'm a Discord mod for a streamer. Yeah, and I don't want to, moderators, like, you have moderators on everything. And there are people that they utilize so many things for negatives and for positives. I mean, it can be there. I appreciate the hell out of moderators. Moderators, I can't operate without moderators because, I don't know, when we're doing stuff, I want to concentrate here. And Discord is madness if it's large. So moderators there's nothing negative aimed at moderators. In fact, the moderators here, again, the whole point, these people that he's attaching this to are, they shouldn't have access to that. I mean, the communication, all of this is inappropriate, period. Having, again, a 13-year-old, putting them under an NDA, assigning them work, not paying them, then having inappropriate conversation. I mean, all of it gets more and more inappropriate, but it gets to this level. It's like, what the heck? And then, we found out that Lava, so they were old enough to drive, right away, they get a recreational vehicle. They end up traveling down to meet Chris. Now, there's been discussions about how Lava's family was there, but it's so bizarre. So they get a recreational vehicle instead of a regular vehicle. They go out and park it out in the middle of nowhere for a meeting. I mean, everything in that screams. It screams giant red flag. So you can see also, they were talking about, they banned somebody for gore. And you have Chris come in and said, well, should gore be allowed in the not safe for work, or should it only be prawn? So they make it clear over and over and over again what type of material was being spammed in that channel. We also have, again, Chris talking about putting nudes in. And I don't think that was a joke, by the way. The reason I don't think that was a joke, like I said, I saw another, I don't remember if it's in here or it was one, there's so many, like I said, screenshots that have come out. But one of those screenshots talks about, again, Chris showcasing pictures in the shower. So even if we want to deflect and say that particular statement, first of all, that statement was inappropriate no matter what. Joke, not joke. It's, again, you think about the audience. We're not talking about a bunch of adults getting together and making like stupid. If you were talking about a bunch of adults, they were all together in here, this issue, it would be embarrassing, perhaps, but it wouldn't be what it is. And I don't think a lot of people are landing on that. Again, this has been a big discussion to the point that you had Drama Alert cover this. And Drama Alert put this on. They had a Twitter space where they went over a lot of stuff. And in that Twitter space, they had just waiting. I didn't look at the final numbers yet, but on that Twitter space for just waiting, they had 250,000 people waiting. But the problem here is that MrBeast is so big. Typically, if we were talking about a normal channel, it wouldn't matter if normies were involved. You know, people outside of the internet. Because normally the noise that happens online, that would be enough. But this reaches everywhere. In fact, I saw a video by MrBeast talking about some of the impacts that interviews have had. And he went on with Joe Rogan. Nothing negative on Joe Rogan in here either. I'm just talking about having an interview. But he said in the aftermath of that, people that normally would not know the channel, they walk up to him in like Walmart and be like, yo, that's MrBeast. So you have just a normie audience out there. People that don't get involved with online anything. They don't know about what's happening. And more of them, they're being led to this because, again, you look up headlines with Amazon. Oh, got money coming in from Amazon. Every time I go to Walmart, I see MrBeast bars. You know, they're right there by the cash register. It was crazy, too. I did think that this was messed up at one time. So MrBeast put out a call for action once, asking kids, if you're in Walmart and you see the display is an absolute wreck, why don't you go in and straighten that out? Talk to a manager and see if you can, you know, get more stock on the shelves. And I was like, so you're asking for free labor? That's kind of not right. You know, call for action for kids to go and stock shelves at Walmart. That's pretty strange. You know, but I mean, you think about it, like you have enough access. And again, I'm not comparing one thing to the other. That's just, that could have been a stupid thing to post. I thought it was something with as much legal as he has. You would think, maybe you wouldn't do that. But again, you think about the power he has, or the sway that he has over kids. Get them to do almost anything, you know, with the promise of, you too may win all of this money. It's life-changing. You know, watch me give away $10,000. Watch me give away a Lamborghini. Don't you want a Lamborghini? Don't you want $1 million? And it's worked. I mean, it's worked very well. It's built an empire. But is this is execution allowed and not safe for work? No. Okay. Well, it's good to know boundaries. So they talk about, nope, none of that's allowed. The only thing that's allowed and not safe for work, it's just for prawn. It's just for the prawn bot. So they have a bot that it's not just like a you going in and posting something either. They went out of their way to set up a bot that continually spams prawn. Again, if you can think of another way that, like, I see that word that YouTube doesn't like, thrown around so much. You know, again, I like brooming because they swept it up in the aftermath. But this very much sounds like brooming. So we would can we make not safe for work just not safe for work, but no prawn? So people are even like, hey, can we maybe shut this down and not put that stuff in? And then another person's like, revelation. And then they continue, and I think this is a big point because, again, this is being discussed right out in the open here because the majority of people on this Discord are most likely underage. So this is being brought up, like this shouldn't be there. And they knew it was, again, you've seen them shut down access. They end up cleaning they scrub this server. Because they know that if this stuff were found, that it would be a big problem. Now they were looking at growing, as in making money at the time. So from the Chris Tyson point of view, it was all okay until sponsors get involved. Sponsors won't back that. But it's, like I said, it's a much bigger problem. So it was all A-okay with Chris Tyson to do, of course. I mean, you see the activity there. But you got to hide it because they're telling you, they know that there's wrongdoing. Like, I think that is a huge statement in all of this, too. They know there's wrongdoing attached to everything here. You know, got to hide it. Got to scrub it. About Ninja they introduced South Korea as North Korea in the Olympics opening as well. I didn't even catch that. That's crazy. I didn't catch that. I'm not going to say M. I'll mess up your name otherwise. Thanks for the 10 there. Thanks for doing this. Wish you had 100, actually 100,000 live viewers. This needs to get wider attention. Let my friends with kids know. Indeed. It needs to get out there. It's getting out there, though. It is. The problem is we're not going to crack the normie audience with it. You're going to have to let people know about this, you know? Stick print paint. Thanks for 5. I don't get why you would spam your own channel. What do they benefit? Well, when they're doing this, what's happening, again, they've set up, so with Discord, if you don't use Discord a lot, you know, it's a message board, essentially. You know, you interact, goof off, post pictures, whatever, and you have specific rooms. Imagine it like a house with rooms. I think that's the best comparison. You know, some rooms you can lock and give certain people the keys, and they have a not safe for work area. They have a prawn bot set up, and one where anybody could access it. So at first, you know, it was anyone could do this. Then they try to lock it down to moderators, and it goes from there. It's just, why would they do it? Well, that's a good question, isn't it? You know, they've tried to say, well, the internet was a different place then. Edgy humor. It's all edgy humor. I'm like, no. Okay, you could, if they want to write off the comments that were made in the past as edgy humor, how do you explain away the prawn bot, though? Again, they set up a bot to do that. So that goes well beyond those boundaries. What's up, John? Thanks for hundo, by the way. Thank you, buddy. I used to be an admin on a chat site called studentcenter.org. It failed a few years ago and went down. But when it was active, I would absolutely keep people off for this kind of stuff. And I knew Or was too. And keep people off for that as well. Indeed. I mean, a good moderator, which, thank you, John, too. They know what is or isn't appropriate. They know what the age range. I'm not saying, too, like, Chris Tyson knew that these were minors. Now, I cannot specifically say that. I have not found any instance where MrBeast was directly told in a conversation, oh man, 14-year-olds or anything like that. But these are employees of MrBeast. They're signing non-disclosure agreements. So they're working for MrBeast. So even if you want to say, well, MrBeast didn't know about all of this, even though, again, we've had confirmation. So the big bombshell, like I said, the account that's MrBeast, which there are a couple of screenshots that have come up, but that's 100% his account. And again, you saw them talking about Jimmy being involved, but the one, we'll get to the discussion about weenus size that's being had out there in the Discord by MrBeast's account. But even if he did, I mean, these are his employees. They're working on his approved MrBeast Discord. Like I said, they build that Discord on top of the old one by scrubbing everything away. That's what you see so much discussion about. That's why it doesn't exist anymore. And while they're scrubbing everything away, people are essentially being told, you know, we got to make sure none of this is around because, oh, it's going to look bad if it does. So, let's see that. Oh, well, most people are likely underage, yes. They want some edgy memes. You know, so that they discuss all of that in here. Now, I want to, like I said, there's a lot. You can go into this GitHub, and there is a lot of stuff in it. Again, 500,000 messages, 500,000 messages. But one of them, let me pull this up here. Give me a minute. So, again, I showed you this conversation. Give me 1 second here. So I showed you that again. Well, there was also this. This is where the question of, is this MrBeast or isn't it? That's where that actually hails from. Because you can see, oh, Discount Milk says, oh, no, he's not. His weenus isn't big enough. I know. And then MrBeast, he responds being like, no, I know his weenus size and it's huge. You have another account come in and say, you know, Beast, you're gay. That moment you deep throat a whole, yeah, you know what they're talking about. Discount meme is like, or Discount Milk is like, well, I'd do that to Chris. And Chris is like, haha, MrBeast joins in the comments on my weenus size. So he's talking about, again, not talking about some random thing out there. Which, again, that wouldn't excuse it at all. But it's a conversation about Chris Tyson's weenus size. It's this, okay, so there was discussion about whether or not that was actually MrBeast. You know, is that his specific account? Because I want to know this, you know. I again, there's been enough inappropriate stuff that's happened anyway that you're like, oh my God. But that's some next level stuff. But you had, let me give me a second. So here's a discussion over the account and if the account is actually MrBeast. So a small thread on how this is 100% MrBeast and why the community note. So what happened here? Drama Alert puts up this MrBeast and Chris Tyson Discord leaks. MrBeast allegedly complimenting Chris Tyson's size in Chris's Discord server with minors. Now, there was a community note added to that at first. Now, this community note has been taken down, but the community note was discussing whether or not this was actually MrBeast. Because there are a lot of people that are like, hey, that we can't prove that's actually him. That could be anybody out there. Okay, fair enough. Now, they bring up a few things. There are multiple posts that mention Jimmy. Like we've already seen, you know, Jimmy being brought up as joining in. You know, he's chilling. He apparently, you know, he listens to music and certain stuff. He joins the general voice room, so anybody, you know, can sit in there and they can talk and do whatever. And they're also, you know, they, along with a post that is eerily similar to the video that was circulated a few days back. And what happened there was actually a discussion. Now, that conversation itself was trying to be an edgy interview. But what was messed up about it, he talks about the Catch You Outside girl, Bad Barbie. He makes a comment about her and her being 14. Now, in that, the person that did the interview came out and said, you know, well, we were trying to be offensive, whatever. Okay. Well, along with that, you have posts of, oh, man, look, MrBeast posted about Bad Barbie at the time. So it's like, ugh. When you put those together, if you said the other stuff was just, you know, trying to be edgy, yuck, yuck. Now, the account that posted this has its user ID leaked in the chat logs. The account had Chris's friend role. Keep in mind that user IDs never change even after the names change. So that's an important distinction too. You know, when you go in, you look at these, you didn't just have random names that came up. You had users with the Friends of God role. So the person that is in charge, you know, friends of, you can see all of their names come in. Yeah. So with that info, you can actually go in and look up user IDs on sites such as Discord, lookup.com, and tell you the account is still active and has a new name. So you can actually look them up. You can see exactly who they are. Now, this account used to own the server before the account the community notes mentioned took over. So, the account itself that's being discussed in there, before, again, a new account takes over the server, that account actually owned the server. So it's not just some random person in there. Again, it's the owner of Discord. On top of that, let me pause this for a second. This account also had his official accounts linked into it. Here's a screen recording of that. You cannot link accounts that you cannot log into. So as far as the accounts and linkage here, you can see when you're going through, again, they show all the different accounts. Let me slow this down a little bit. But you can see like MrBeast Gaming. So when they search different accounts and see how they're linked, they have the official MrBeast Gaming linked in there. They have the YouTube that's linked in there. Again, they can't link them unless they're actually able to get into those. So yeah, it's kind of hard to deny that that's MrBeast. Also, for why he's winding the screen log, it's archived. The current state of that server, the logs were yoinked. That's why some of the colors, they don't match up. Yeah, and a lot of things are changing in the archives themselves, so give me a second here. Now, the reason that this became a discussion, like I said, is because so many people were trying to say that that was not MrBeast. And the guy that ended up leaking this stuff, check this out here. When you go back again and you look at tags and everything, like I said, you can see the discussion of it for sure is him that's in there. And then when you see the tags in conversations, they're tagging in that account and noting that that is MrBeast. Now, why does that matter? You know, yeah, I've seen people talk about, oh, he's just there. He didn't know what was going on. Da-da-da-da-da-da. Okay, well, best case scenario, again, this is his business. His non-disclosure agreements with these specific accounts. And these specific accounts, they're doing all the work at ages 13 and 14 when this stuff starts. So they're definitely tied to his business. Now, his business is big, sure, but it's not big enough that he's not hanging out in these discords, and he's not, you know, he's not talking to all these folks. It's just disturbing when you start going down this rabbit hole, because what it looks like is more than you have MrBeast. I don't know if you all looked at the statement that he gave. Actually, it's fascinating to look at the differences in statements too, with Chris Tyson and the way Chris Tyson addresses how this is going forward. And again, this is before all of the leaks happened. And MrBeast, because MrBeast, the way the MrBeast statement comes up, MrBeast hasn't made any statements since this happened either. But he's made one statement and then walked away. But the Chris Tyson statements, give me 1 minute. I'm pulling that up. I had his account on mute. You know, it's fascinating too. They tried to cancel. There was a YouTuber that posted a video called "Why Chris Will Soon Be a Nightmare for MrBeast." And yeah, there was so much blowback to that. MrBeast got involved in that too. And you look now, you look a year later, and it's like, that was actually right. 1 second, I got a kid trying to come down. Give me 1 second, I got to mute. Sorry about that. I'm like, no, can't even get involved. I can't even around this. So you see the way that this is framed over the a few days, and again, this is before all the leaks come up. But you have Chris Tyson coming in and being like, I would like to apologize for any of my past behavior or comments if it hurt or offended anyone. That was not my intent. Seeing recent events, we've mutually decided it's best I permanently step away from all things MrBeast and social media to focus on my family and mental health. So again, you know, if you look at the framework of this, it's the framework of, well, I'm sorry if my comments, you know, my edgy behavior, so he's trying to make this, that offended anyone. I'm the victim here, though, because I got to step away. I'm going to focus on the family that, well, yeah, the family that not attached to anymore. One walked away from because of what was supposed to be identity. You know, I'm going to go do my own thing, although... yeah, you got to wonder. You got to wonder what's there. And then focus on my mental health. So, my mental health is being harmed for this. I've got to step away and I've got to focus on me. Because I'm the victim in all of this. I want to add, I never broomed anyone. The person who brought up in these accusations with Lava. Again, Lava at first backed Chris, saying that a lot of stuff didn't transpire. There weren't all these conversations. Again, nothing negative toward them. I want to make that clear, too. Just saying. You know, they, at the time this was posted, this was actually somebody was supporting. But after all the leaks came in and confirmed that it was real, the person who's brought up in the accusations, Lava, has vocally supported they are false. Again, retracted that by now. Having said that, I humbly apologize to anyone I've heard with my unacceptable social media posts, past actions, and to those who may feel betrayed by how I used to act online. Again, edgy behavior. That's what it's trying to go here. Oh, I dropped N-bombs. Oh, I said words that I shouldn't say. I know that's wrong now. And it's like, that's not what this is about. It may be that to some people. If that's your problem, that's fine. But like I said, I don't really care about that. Just to be quite frank, I don't care about that portion, you know. Again, the end, that is, you know, somebody dropping some N-bombs here, like that's a different conversation. That's not the conversation we're having. And that's what, again, Chris Tyson wants to make this. To lump these two factors together to create a narrative that my behavior extended beyond bad edgy jokes is disgusting. It did not happen. So again, you know, this is before we could... Chris Tyson thought everything had been scrubbed and no one kept any kind of archive. And no one knew the archive existed. And the reason the archive existed was because of this specific reason. In past years, I've learned my old humor is acceptable and is not acceptable. And I change who I was, but I continue to work on myself. I don't want these accusations to impact the hundreds of people who work with MrBeast, which is why I stepped away. Now, you notice how that was framed. Now, MrBeast, Yeah, his legal probably understood that this was a real problem. It became a real problem. And it is. I mean, this is a bad problem for Mr. Beast. I mean, Mr. Beast, what we're finding out, again, Mr. Beast is interesting because in this, they do all of the things that you see. Compare the statements that Mr. Beast is making here to, like, The Sun. I remember The Sun when all the stuff with Dan Wooten came out. Okay. The Sun talked about, we're going to hire an independent third party. Now, why do you do that? Well, because it says that you're actually doing something. But the third party, they don't answer to anyone but Mr. Beast. So anything that they find, they quote unquote find there, that won't be released to the public. In fact, you may not ever hear anything about it. Now that's the perfect way to cover up if you were involved in something, because again, they didn't know that the chat logs actually existed. They never thought that stuff that would be dumped into the open. But you can tell from this statement that Mr. Beast's legal is telling this is a problem. And the whole, I stepped away, that's not what's said here. Over the last few days, I've become aware of serious allegations of Ava Tyson's behavior online, and I'm disgusted and opposed to such unacceptable acts. Now again, it gives you the impression that Mr. Beast was not involved in any way, shape, or form, right? Not there. Didn't know about it. I've just found out about this stuff. You know, just now. I just found out about this place that, again, it was part of, it becomes my official Discord. I interacted with all these people all the time, you know, I was doing all this stuff on there, da-da-da. But, again, I just found out, I'm horrified there. During that time, I've been focused on hiring an independent third party to conduct a thorough investigation to ensure I have all the facts. That said, I've seen enough online and taken immediate action to remove Ava from the company, my channel, and any association with Mr. Beast. Now, the messed up thing about this is that even though that association may be scrubbed, again, Chris Tyson is all over the channel, all over multiple channels. Chris Tyson has been there since the beginning. So if you go back, yeah, that person will just disappear. But that's it. And again, third party. That's something we saw in the past to do damage control. But that has become more and more in the days of social media. See, people understand the news cycles move on really quickly. You know, if you can weather something for a couple of weeks, then the news cycle will move on to something else. And this is the way, again, you make it sound like you're involved in some type of action. You're conducting an investigation. You're making sure you have all of the facts. But this, again, the third party is answerable to the person that pumps money into them. I will allow the independent investigators the necessary time to conduct a comprehensive investigation and will take any further actions based on their findings. What does that mean, by the way? What does further actions mean? You know, I'm curious about that. You'll do what exactly? I mean, all of this, you know, there's enough here that, especially if there's images of what's being introduced to kids, to minors here, you know, again, a 13 and a 14-year-old for sure. And who knows about the other ages. I mean, that's more than public embarrassment. Some of this stuff looks like it would be actionable. I'll allow the independent investigators necessary time to conduct a comprehensive investigation and will take any further actions based on their findings. Like I said, looking at that, further actions. And people have noted, like, hey, you know, you knew about it. In fact, like I said, I know that, I know we have had a few former employees of Mr. Beast come out and and talk about this. But Jake the Viking has been, let's see, I haven't even seen this one. Okay, so there's actually a post here. I want to see this. So there's Jake the Viking talking about some of his time with MrBeast. Let's see what that is. I'm curious what this is. Jake the Viking, though, came out again and was like, man, I'm glad I left. But here, let's see what this is.
Can you sue for defamation? I don't think so. They can send me a cease and desist. I'm fully expecting a cease and desist. He saw my post on November 4th of me eating a MrBeast bar, the Feastables, but that's it. And the last time he responded was January 1st of 2019. Why leave MrBeast? I was fired. I saw this. I am not married. I am single. Single as all get out. Have you seen Hunter x Hunter? Love Hunter x Hunter. Love Hunter. I thought that was a great show. My ex got me into anime, like more anime. She got me into Hunter x Hunter, Berserk. That's why I have a Berserk tattoo behind my ear, because she got me into it, and I love that. What products used for your beard? I have beard oil, beard conditioner, or not beard conditioner, beard oil, beard balm, beard wash, and beard conditioner. There we go. That's what we use. Makes it nice and soft, and it's getting a little bit thicker. So, are we fired? I was told my piece did not fit the puzzle. Piece didn't fit the puzzle. Brand protection because I did brand it with a CBD company.
So think about that. He's saying that he got fired because he did promotion with a CBD, a legalized pot company. Let's just call it that. Probably the easiest way for me to say. And yeah, that was apparently brand damaging. While knowing all this stuff happened behind the scenes, because again, there's enough conversation. There's no way didn't know that was there. But this guy, he's come out and been like, hey, Jimmy knew about this. Other employees have come out and said, hey, other people knew about it. But the reason that they never handled this before is because Chris Tyson knows so much of what's going on behind the scenes that it could be really damaging. It's wild to see. So this guy, like I said, he came out and he was like 100%. Again, you take that as you will. He's been fired, sure. But with everything else that's come up in this, you've had discussions there. So there was a person, there was another accusation that came up too. Give me a second. I think I marked it. I like the bookmark feature on Twitter. So here, the Quartering actually posts this. It's a piece of a post. So Chris Tyson allegedly promised another trans person a job with MrBeast, flew them out so they could repeatedly get blown by a dude, and he never once, quote unquote, returned the favor. So you see the discussion here. So when we went to bed together the night, we ended up cuddling and kissing, which led to her taking clothes off and asking for oral from me. I went down on her expecting to engage in sex. We reciprocated. I was done. You made it clear you did not want to return any of those favors. I was hoping that would not be the case the next time we hooked up. I believe we'd be moving on to something more mutual. Over the course of the next few weeks, Ava engaged me sexually, ended up receiving oral several times, never reciprocated. I was too scared to directly ask for anything in return. Took advantage of that. So they talked about, again, they have a whole story about how, again, they were offered a job. They flew out. They thought that they thought they'd get hooked up by that. But instead of getting hooked up, it was more about a hookup. And like the Quartering says, when you start looking through more and more of this, this would, if this were just some random person out there, again, with everything else, that's an accusation. I want to make that clear. But with everything else there, yeah, that accusation is it's more, it's worse. And it's fascinating to me that the crowd that would typically just believe all accusations, they're like, no, 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 no. That's not the case. It's just so bizarre to me. Yeah, so the other posts on that were, you know, so during this trial period, so that was part of the trial period for employment, Ava continued to receive oral from me multiple times. I started to feel like I was being coerced. Because I started feeling that way, I decided to try to avoid any physical engagement between Ava and I that could lead to more one-sided acts. I took a short trip to my home state. At the end of July, returned on July 28th. When I got back, I continued to do my best to avoid anything physical between Ava and I. So, I mean, they made a lot of statements about this. And again, it's just more. Lava, too. So, lava was mentioned in the... Give me 1 second. So, lava was mentioned in the lava 100% denies everything that went on. Well, this was the statement here. Based on recent screenshots and messages, I would like to say a statement about the Discord. This was 5 or 6 years ago. I thought I had a good memory of the situation, but I was wrong. After reading the chat logs, this stuff was inappropriate and wrong. I spoke based on my memory of the situation and still did not remember these conversations, but they definitely happened. These conversations should not have happened with people at the age I was at the time. I strongly condemn them. I still believe I'm not a grooming victim, but these conversations should not have happened with me and any other minor in the Discord. I was a minor in this situation and not the adult influencer who shouldn't have allowed this to happen. I do not see it as wrong at the time. I also put in a... they said, though, again... Now, again, you're talking about somebody that was introduced to this at 13. So are they going to see it as what it is? This is the problem. Again, we're not... These words are thrown around so much in the wrong context that when you see them in the right context, a lot of people don't recognize it as such. And this is definitely, I mean, again, you look at the behavior, you look at everything that was going on, it's definitely groomer behavior. I fuck brooming. I'm going to say it what it is. I hate these fucking channels. I hate social media in so many ways. You know, because we have so much access to talking about the truth, but we have to, in order to make sure that you don't disappear and lose your voice altogether and end up in the freaking, in the corner, you have to avoid the real words. Meanwhile, the people that are involved in this, they continue to be spotlighted by the very platforms there. In fact, to tell you how bad this stuff is, back in the, I can't remember what year it was. Do you remember the MAP conversation that came up? You know, minor attracted persons, when they didn't want to be called pedos anymore. They wanted to be called something that looked a little bit better for them. Well, during that time, I decided that I would talk about that because it's messed up. It's 100% messed up. So I thought, you know, I'd do live stream, video, just talk about that. Well, the platform in its infinite wisdom decided that it would strike my video on that. And the reason that it gave for striking that was because, again, I don't remember the exact terminology for this, but it said that I was going after a protected class. Let that register with you. Minor attracted persons equals protected class. That's illegal activity. So spotlighting how there are predators out there that are trying to disguise themselves as. They're trying to get social acceptance. You get strikes from it. You get videos removed and more. And I'm 100%. I fought that. I still lost the video, but I got the strike removed. But I got struck for it. But I still didn't get my video back for it. I mean, it just tells you like how messed up this stuff is. But for Lava, that's clarification. This is only related to Discord server. Not any other statement I made about Ava Tyson. When referring to the situation, I'm solely talking about the Discord server. I stand by this. Now, a lot of people will say, well, you know, Lava lied. And again, we don't know the motivation by this person. You know, it's also, let's just be honest about this too. As a male victim, they're not gonna get an army of support, I don't think. Here's that post that was linked in there. But then you're going after, you know, talking about MrBeast. It gets even worse. So, Lava noted, I appreciate everyone taking this tweet as me talking about everything. I've stated about Ava Tyson. It is not. Something about Discord logs. I did not speak to Ava 24/7 even before the Discord server. We spoke a few times a week. That's why I'm able to remember what actually happened between me and her. I still believe the other allegations deserve to be investigated. I'm not defending actions by. Also, the Great Cleansing is not related to the original cleansing of the Discord statement. Nathan Maiden, he knows that. The Great Cleansing was years after the server went public. We were talking about scrubbing any word that might be against TOS. So we get a Discord partnership. That includes boomer, porn, and other things. Something like, Again, just gross. Anyway. There's a lot more, though. If you go to that, if you go to that GitHub, you can download everything that has been dropped. The GitHub is really easy to find, even if you forget the address to it. It's Chris, K-R-I-S, Git, G-I-T-H-U-B. When you go in, you can pull up all the leaks. Pull up the entire chat logs, and it's a lot. Like I said, it's a massive amount of discussion, and there's going to be a lot more come out for days here. But the real bombshell, like I said, in my opinion here, is the fact that MrBeast was 100% there. That was his account talking about weenus size. So the whole idea of I had no idea that some of this stuff could be going on. That's not true. It's not true at all. Again, I'm not saying that where activities go. We're going to find out a lot more, I think. But from what we have there, it definitely does need to be looked into. And I think that the kid's safety very much needs to be looked into as well. Because we have somebody that is that has shown multiple types of inappropriate behavior. Anyway. Let's see what's here. Gosh, John, 50 gifted memberships. I saw a stream of them, man. I was like, good Lord, 50 though. That's crazy, John. Thank you, buddy, man. That's absolutely crazy. Appreciate that. Appreciate it. Like I said, discussing this is not it's not platform for him, but I don't like YouTube. I want to make this clear too. I don't like focusing on the YouTuber drama. I cover like court cases and stuff. That's why I talked about like the The Ricetta had an interview that I haven't gotten to watch yet. I want to with Chrissy Mayer. I thought we might watch that. I didn't want to sit down for 2 hours of interview. There's supposed to be a lot of description about things that happen, discussing things. So I listened to a little bit of it. I thought, man, that would be fascinating. But that's court case. That's not just YouTuber random drama. When YouTubers getting slap fights and shit, I don't cover that. I don't care about it. It's not interesting. Typically, I'll cover something if it ends up in a court case. This is a public safety discussion. In fact, I'm very annoyed by places like Rolling Stone putting this behind paywalls. Because again, like I was saying with Megan the other day, there's an interest, like a public interest type of story. If they want to lock that behind something, that's their prerogative. But when you get into a public safety discussion, that's much different. Rolling Stone, they still have run interference, or they do the other thing. They don't talk about it at all. You know, a lot of folks, they discuss it in the most generic terms possible. Well, again, calling everyone, you know, phobes and stuff. That's what they've done. I mean, it's 100%. So check this out. Give me 1 minute. I mean, again, Rolling Stone. This is the way they broke it. Ava Chris Tyson steps away. So again, not fired, stepped away from all things MrBeast amidst transphobic attacks. That's the way that was presented. So crazy. Fallen Hero, thanks for the gifted membership too. Appreciate you. John, man, 50 there. There's a gifted membership as well. Thank you, Bunny. And 20 more here. Good Lord, man. It's crazy. And another 20 on top of that. That is wild, man. Thank you, brother. Appreciate it. Like I said, I wasn't going to stream today at all. I was going to take the day off. And, you know, like just I don't know. I've been reading through some of these chat logs. And some of this stuff is very... It's cringy at best. You know, again, people trying to be edgy, and it's just cringy. But then you get into the more serious matters, and that stuff crosses a line there. It crosses into I think, an actionable line. Hey, what's up, Doug Simp? Thanks for the $2 super sticker there too. Appreciate that. Thank you. Man, I don't know. What do all you think about it? Do you think anything will happen though? Here's the question, because I don't. I actually don't think anything will happen. I don't think you will see. There may be a few sponsors that pull away because they're afraid of the rebuff. But again, the brand is so big that unless there's police action, I don't really think anything will happen. I think you'll have like the internet. That may be aware of what's going on, but I don't think there will be anything that actually does anything. You threw Chris under the bus. In a week, it'll be forgotten. I think once people comb through, I personally, people with money, they can make sure that they don't face any actions as far as police do. Because there have been plenty of cases where we've seen that, where people with money have gone in and they've done horrible things, and there's no action at all. There was one of the big predator poacher channels out there. I don't know if you heard about this. So one of the predator poachers, they go in, they confront person at their home, and they did it it's actually one of their, like, they've been bringing the police in. They've been doing things, I think, in a good way. I think they've been doing this the correct way you need to do it. But you have this channel, they go in, they after the confrontation, the police come in to have their conversation with this person, and to arrest them. And that person runs inside, locks themselves in, and ends up ending themselves, I'm going to say. Now, the reason I bring that up is because instead of getting blowback directed at the offender, the channel that happened with, they got blowback. You know, people were talking about, you know, due process. And again, people are allowed due process for sure, 100%. The thing was, though, cops were there. They were going to arrest. And this creeper decides to end themselves. And everybody was pointing at the channel that ended up doing the predator poaching and saying that they somehow did something wrong. It's just kind of wild. What channel was it? I have to, it's, I can't think of his, it's Rawson. Give me 1 second, I'll tell you. He's actually, he covers a lot of his stuff. He's the guy that exposed EDP. Wait a minute, I'll look him up. I can't remember his, it's Alex. Here, I'll show you who he is. You can look him up. You can actually look up that subject. I would encourage you to look it up. There's video about it and everything. But it's this guy here. That's Rawson. I mean, it's been crazy to watch this play out. Because of the way the blowback, again, it's so bizarre to see. And it's not random, just people online that give blowback. You're talking about professionals and stuff. You know, they try to make excuses for, man, I see another damn spider. Give me 1 second. I got to take care of this stupid spider. It's a big old, it's not a house spider. Give me 1 minute. I got to catch it in something. Give me a second. I got to deal with this. Give me a minute. There it is. Jesus, that's a big spider. All right. Sorry, I walked away from my mic. Got a freaking spider the size of the palm of my hand running on my wall. It's freaking, because it looks very much like a. Some of these, we get, like I said, we get brown recluses at this time of year. Anyway, I think I'm going to end here. I hate this topic. I hate topics like this. Let me check the super chats too. Oh, yeah, thanks for the 10 there. Keep up the good work, Tug. We appreciate you. Gherkins, thank you. I appreciate you too. I appreciate all of you, like I said. Thank you. And John, thanks for 5. MrBeast is so big. He's even got candy bars. You know, I don't think there would be punishment for him. Yeah, I actually photographed, so I went through and the MrBeast stuff. It's not just. Let me show you a display real quick before I. That. If you go to Walmart, it's. Everybody thinks it's all like I said, candy bars and whatnot. But if you go into the toy aisles. You have action figures. I mean, you have everything out there. So, give me 1 second. I'm sending this to myself. It'll take me a minute. I have to send it from my phone. But there are, I didn't realize that there were, like I said, figures and everything else. I thought it was just candy bars, you know. But when you go into 1 minute here. Stupid thing. My mail does not want to send that. It's like gross. It's been a pain in my butt about it. Give me a minute. See if it'll send it again. But yeah, like I said, I didn't realize there were toys. Is that it? Just get my nerves, man. The internet here. We had big storms roll through. I'm having a problem pulling that up. If I can't pull it, I'll have to show it to you another day. Oh, here it is. I got it. So you have, here's one of the pictures here. So this is a display, again, at Walmart right now. It goes beyond candy bars or anything else. It's, you see like toys over here. And it's like, oh, look, for a video of Jimmy. And you have all these action figures that are there. They look just like that from MrBeast Lab. And they're like squishy figures. See, let's look that up. MrBeast Lab. I've never heard of it. The timing of all of these releases. Oh yeah, for sure. It's all over. I don't keep up with MrBeast like to that point. All right, so here's the internet site for that. So the MrBeast Lab collection. So going in again, you can see their toys. This shows you the age group that MrBeast is aimed at. It's definitely, you know, I've seen a lot of people argue with the fact that this is aimed at kids. And if you look at this, though, it's 100% aimed at kids. Is MrBeast a PDF? That's not been... It would take more than we've seen to say that. What I would say more along the lines of MrBeast, I believe that there's no way you don't know about this behavior. And Chris Tyson, I mean, defended Chris Tyson for the longest time. Like, didn't just, I'm not talking about silently kept on the channel. I'm talking about, like, when Sonny V2 put out there, Chris Tyson's going to be a problem for MrBeast. Like, went after them for phobia. That's how it's always been, showcased. Oh, you have you see a problem that's going on here? Well, it's because you're a phobe, you're a bigot. And when MrBeast talks about that, so that the statements by MrBeast, let me see, I don't know how much, the last time I looked at that picture, he had 54 million. He's got 98 million hits on that post that he put up about this situation. So he's got almost 100 million hits on that, or views on that, embedded views, rather. That doesn't count any, when you embed it too, that doesn't count anything as far as traffic to the media, YouTube videos or anything. You're talking hundreds of millions of hits on this. That just tells you, again, how much influence, how much it reaches people. He's selling $25 toys. Kids. Candy bars, toys. Again, kids channel. This is all aimed at kids. That's why when you get into like there's other videos out there. There's a video talking about MrBeast being a fraud. And it talks about illegal lotteries. And that's a fascinating subject. By itself, again, this would just be a different kind of discussion. But what it notes is pointing at kids and trying to get money out of them with some questionable tactics, especially considering a lot of the giveaways that are promised. Like when they did shirt signings and other stuff live. Like they didn't deliver. There are a lot of posts out there. There are certain people that post. I was curious about that, so I was looking up MrBeast giveaways. And there have been people that have posted for years because they didn't get whatever they were promised. And they're pissed off, rightfully so. You know, that same person has been posting, you know, for years. Like MrBeast would say, you know, anybody that buys a shirt in this next, we're going to include $100 or whatever with the order. And people would find out, hey, wait a minute, I didn't get any money with that. And it's exploitive, especially when you consider that you're not marketing to parents. You're marketing to little kids. Like for my channel, like, you know, if we do comic books and stuff, like I'm marketing to parents. You know, I can see my age breakdown for demographics. I have like a 0.001, like it looks like maybe you know, a minor has clicked on my channel once or something. You know, most of my age demographics are not, they're not younger. And good. I actually don't want that. You know, I mean, we cover some horrible stuff a lot of times. But anyway, I wanted to, like I said, show you that because I didn't even know this existed. I'd never heard of it before. Ugh. Anyway, there's a few more super chats. Let me hit these and then we're done. So Sam, thanks for the super chat there. I'm here since Elaine. Shout out. Thanks, Doug. Thanks to Elaine. I know, it was so nice of her, wasn't it? Thanks, Elaine. Never forget it, right? Susan, thanks for the 30 months. The mighty have fallen. Like the book says, there's nothing whispered in back rooms that won't be shouted from rooftops. Indeed, that's true. It's true. Very true. Elizabeth Me, thanks for the 19 months, too. The subject is hard, but I've worked with those affected after this stuff. If it gets too much, nightmares still happen sometimes. Indeed, I mean, like I said, I've worked in mental health for a long time. I don't do direct care anymore, but I did for a long time. Were we kids affected by horrible, I hate to call them people. I'll call them subhumans. And one of the things that you learn about these offenders is they're like a nuclear bomb just waiting to go off. You're trying to prevent them from offending. It's the one demographic, like the one thing. We're not talking about depressed people or anxiety or even offenders that have gone out and you're talking about different behavior. Everything that they do, we were talking about PDF files, everything they do is illegal. They cannot have an appropriate relationship ever with their intended, I'm going to call them targets. They can never have an appropriate relationship. They're like a bomb you're just hoping you can keep from going off. And the wreckage they leave in their wake is absolutely horrific. And the access here, I'm wondering what we will find out. I feel like there's, if this stuff was happening just so flagrantly, Chris Tyson, I think there's more. I won't be surprised what we find. But anyway, I'm going to end it here. Appreciate you folks. And we will, I guess we'll continue this when it comes up. Thank you, folks. And thanks, mods, too. Appreciate you.